Hello, hello. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
No, I don't understand. No, I don't want a microphone. Both.
Was it easy?
Kind of. Takes like half a year.
You have one at home.
Yeah.
How much did you practice?
Like, I don't exactly practice, but like at home we just sing. Okay.
Your dad.
No, I'm the only one in my family who knows it. Yeah, only me. And my brother kind of knows. And you know Priya Shori? Yeah, she taught me. Okay. What tune? Give me a tune. Okay, fine. Cartons.
Yeah.
Beta, you have pencil and with eraser, by any chance? Anybody has pencil with eraser?
No.
My mom might.
Mataji, pencil with eraser.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Oh, yeah. Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Rama Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radhe. Jaya Mahaprabhu Jaya Mahaprabhu Jaya Mahaprabhu Jaya Mahaprabhu Jaya Mahaprabhu Jaya. Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha Jaya Narahari Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha Jaya Narahari. Hari Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha Jaya Narahari. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Gaura Premanande. does Bhakti Sastri start?
Whatever you're saying is going on.
No, what time?
It's 2, but I think he will too late for 2:15.
He's on his way.
Yeah, it seems he got like
First thing?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, the first thing you learn is like an exercise, not a beat. The first thing you learn, it sounds way better when it's playing fast than playing so fast. And it's faster.
So you use your thumb?
Yeah, you can use your phone. Yeah. Yes. But like some people play it like this. But I mean like you're supposed to play it like this for like this beat specifically. But like when you do this, like I like to play. I like to use my thumb instead of my thumb. So it's just easier.
Aspiring musician.
That's being telecasted. जैसे साइड में नहीं दिख रहे ना आपको, आपको करना है। Thank you. Perfect. Hare Krishna. I am extremely sorry for being late today. I hope it will not happen again. It was just some unforeseen thing I had to take care of. Let's start with the Mangalacharan prayers. They are on the page 1 of Bhagavad Gita, for those who want to follow. The Bhagavad Gita is right there, and on page 1 we have Mangalacharan prayers. Page 1. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakkamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhayascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasa Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Matsamo nasti papatma naparadhi chakaschana parihare pilajjame kim bhruve purushottama bhumau skalitapadanam bhumireva avalambanam tvai jata paradhanam tvameva sharanam prabhu. Hare Krishna. I again offer my profound apologies for being late today. So today we'll be reading the 5th, 6th and the 7th. We'll discuss as much as we can. The good news for all of you is that the Sunday Feast lecture is also a speaker or a person by name Srivasa Pandit Das, so which is kind of okay, so we can spill over a little bit and we can continue. I'm sure the speaker won't be angry at all, even if we extend our as much as we want. So, all right. So for the last class, what did we discuss? And the fourth, so let's do a quick recap. Anybody wants a recap, or should we directly jump into the 5th, 6th, 7th? Recap? The recap is always good. I like recaps. So the Nectar of Devotion essentially started off with the fact that Srila Prabhupada gave an historical overview of the time in which the author wrote his book. The author was Srila Rupa Goswami, who was one of the disciples of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And on the order of Mahaprabhu, he composed this book. And in the preface, we had discussed the 4 terms, Bhakti, Rasa, Amrita and Sindhu. And then after that, we discussed Anyabhilashita Shunyam verse. So let's all repeat together. Anyabhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadhyanavritam Anukulyena Krishnanu Sheelanam Bhaktiruttamam. Please remember this verse, as I said before, and probably I'll say for the last time. It will come in exam. Yeah, this is the foundational verse. This is why we are here. This is our, you can say, raison d'etre of why we are here in Krishna consciousness, or what are we hoping to achieve. We went into entire discussion on this particular verse, how there are 3 primary characteristics of pure. What is pure devotional service? Then what are the 3 primary characteristics? 3 secondary characteristics. Then after that, we discussed about the 6 qualities or the characteristics of a pure devotional service. The first is Kleshagni, which means it destroys all the material miseries. Then Shubhada means it's all auspicious. Third, Sudurlabha means it is very rare. Fourth is put ones in transcendental happiness. Nice. And then the other thing is we also discussed about how liberation is made insignificant by pure devotional service. How by a person who's performing pure devotional service doesn't attach too much of significance to devotional to liberation. And the 6th characteristic was it attracts Krishna. It's only means of attracting Sri Krishna. Wherever Sri Krishna comes and performs his pastimes, we know that, especially with his devotees, we know it is only the love of that devotee that attracts Krishna and nothing else. And then we see that how in Bhagavatam, Krishna came to Hastinapur. He stayed in Hastinapur for some time, and then as he was leaving, or as he proposed to leave, Maharaj Yudhishthira begged Krishna so that he can stay for some more time. Please stay with us for some more time. And Krishna agreed. The reason he agreed was because he was attracted by the love of his devotees. To the point that he is willing to give up the company of his queens in Dwarka to be with his devotees. That kind of love. Even though, don't get me wrong, the queens of Dwarka are also pure devotees of Krishna. It is just Krishna does all these things. He can be there simultaneously at all places at all times, but he does that so that he can increase the love of his devotees. Nothing else. And then the next portion we discussed is the eligibility of devotional service. Eligibility of the candidate of devotional service. That was the first stages of devotion. We did discuss what causes devotion. That's another fascinating topic. He says who can actually perform devotional service, or how one comes to perform devotional service. And then after that was done, then we discussed the eligibility of the candidate for accepting devotional service. So what is one quality for one who performs devotional, who wants to perform devotional service? One quality is needed. Unflinched attraction to Krishna. Wonderful. Wonderful. That's the only thing. And Rupa Goswami goes to discuss how one's birth, one's past lives, one's so many things are not considered much at all. So in that sense, pure devotional service is birthright for everybody. There is no question of caste or birth or past activities, nothing. So then after that, after discussing the eligibility, then we spent some time discussing devotional service surpasses all liberation, and how Rupa Goswami went into different quotations showing them, at least in the 4th chapter, he quotes a lot of places where he stresses how devotional service is not significant. And then the 5th chapter right? We have to discuss today the 5th chapter. So 5th chapter, let's start reading today for a change, and then we'll discuss. So let's start with the 5th chapter here. I would actually recommend that the devotees can start reading one paragraph after another, starting with Aditi. You can read the first paragraph and then you can give it to Shamalangi Mataji, and then it can go on like that. If there are any points, then we can stop and discuss. Yeah, please. No, you have to use the mic. Are you okay? You can.
Yeah.
Okay.
The purity of devotional service. All of the previous instructions imparted by Srila Rupa Goswami in his broad statements can be summarized thus. As long as one is materially inclined or desirous of merging into the spiritual effulgence, one cannot enter into the realm of pure devotional service. Next, Rupa Goswami states that devotional service is transcendental to all material considerations and that it is not limited to any particular country, class, society, or circumstance. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, devotional service is transcendental and has no cause. Devotional service is executed without any hope for gain, and it cannot be checked by any material circumstances. It is open for all, without any distinction, and it is the constitutional occupation of the living entities.
There we go. So the devotional service is, it cannot be checked by anybody, and it has no material cause of who can perform, and then everybody is eligible. Please, next paragraph, Shamalangi Mataji.
In the Middle Ages, after the disappearance of Lord Chaitanya's great associate Lord Nityananda, a class of priestly persons claimed to be the descendants of Nityananda, calling themselves the Goswami caste. They further claimed that the practice and spreading of devotional service belonged only to their particular class, which was known as Nityananda Vamsha. In this way, they exercised their artificial power for some time until Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur, the powerful Acharya of Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, completely smashed their idea. There was a great hard struggle for some time, but it has turned out successfully, and it is now correctly and practically established that devotional service is not restricted to a particular class of men. Besides that, anyone who is engaged in devotional service is already at the status of being a high-class Brahman. So, Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur's struggle for this movement has come out successful.
Wonderful. So, one should understand that when we talk of Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, while it is part of Daivi Varnashram, it still designates bodily concept. This distinction between Brahmana and Vaishnava, let's talk a little bit. When we talk of Brahmana, even though there are many grades of Brahmana, there is a Brahmana who is expert in Vedas, expert in performing sacrifices. So there are many Brahminical, you can say, qualifications or distinctions, but all of them are more or less related to material identification. When I say I am a Brahmana and I have to do my duty, it means that I am still not beyond the bodily concept of life. Even though that Brahmana may be a high grade, but unless he comes to the platform of the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 26th verse. Mam chayo bhakti yogena Aitan Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. In that verse it says, in 1426, Lord Krishna says that those who are engaged in my service with unflinching, that's the word we used, with unflinching faith and without any deviation, Mam Chayo Avyabhicharena Bhakti. Avyabhicharini Bhakti means undeviated devotional service. Bhakti Yogena Sevate, those who serve me, Sagunan Samatityaitan Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. So those are not even on this level of material things. They are in a far above level than the material aspects. Therefore, that is transcendental and that is spiritual. And those who are executing the pure devotional service, to brand them as Brahmanas may not be the best identification, because you are still, from your perspective, you are thinking them as Brahmanas. They may be far elevated than that. Make sense? So, but even amongst the Brahmanas, Lord Krishna, there is a definition called Brahmam Janati iti Brahmana. There is there in the Shloka book. If we can pull up, I think it's an interesting consideration. Let's discuss a little bit because these are important. I don't remember the verse, but let's see if I can pull it up. It's something to do with Brahmanas. There are different grades. I apologize for that. There is in any case, I'll look it up probably. Vipro Nipuna. Chintya Tarka Pratishta. Sorry, I'll just see if I can pull it up. In the meanwhile, you can look up definitely on 374. 374, page 374, and then you can look up at Padma Puran. You can do it silently, you can read it on your own. That definitely gives one, you can read the translation for that. That is another, sorry, if I can't find it in next 10 seconds, I'll try to find it later. I believe it was there, Mahabharata, some place it was there, where it gave different gradations of Brahmana. But in any case, we can find it later. I apologize for that. So if you want to read, okay, let's see. You can see Vipra, you can look up for Vedas, you can look up for... you want to find it? Let's do it. Brahmana, B. It's okay. I'm sorry. I can look it up later. Let's not get too bogged down. But in any case, I think you are getting the idea that Brahmana and a Vaishnava is more advanced than a Brahmana because Vaishnava is engaged in pure devotional service for Krishna. And when you do that, then the distinction is slowly lost between who is Brahmana, who is Vaishya, who is Kshatriya. So, go ahead, Mataji. Next.
It is on the basis of his position that anyone can now become a Gaudiya Vaishnava from any part of the world or any part of the universe. Anyone who is a pure Vaishnava is situated transcendentally, and therefore the highest qualification in the material world, namely to be in the mode of goodness, has already been achieved by such a person. Our Krishna consciousness movement in the Western world is based on the above-mentioned proposition of Srila Bhakti Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, our spiritual master. On his authority, we are claiming members from all sections of the Western countries. There are so-called Brahmanas. The so-called Brahmanas claim that one who is not born into a Brahmana family cannot receive the sacred thread and cannot become a high-grade Vaishnava. But we do not accept such a theory because it is not supported by Rupa Goswami, nor by the strength of the various scriptures.
Questions? Any questions, comments so far? Should we go ahead? Okay. Go ahead, Natalie.
Srila Rupa Goswami specifically mentions herein that every man has the birthright to accept devotional service and to become Krishna conscious. He has given many evidences from many scriptures, and he has especially quoted one passage from Padma Purana, wherein the sage Vaiseshta tells King Dilipa, "My dear king, everyone has the right to execute devotional service, just as he has the right to take early bath in the month of Magha, December or January. There is more evidence in the Shanda Purana, in the Kashi Kanda portion, where it is said, in the country known as Mayurada the Vaja, the lower caste people, who are considered less than Shudras, are also initiated in the Vaishnava cult of devotional service. And when they are properly dressed, with tilaka on their bodies and beads in their hands and on their necks, they appear to be coming from Vaikuntha. In fact, they look so very beautiful that immediately they surpass the ordinary brahmanas.
Nice.
Thus, a Vaishnava automatically becomes a Brahmana. This idea is also supported by Sanatan Goswami in his book Hari Bhakti Vilas, which is a Vaishnava guide. Therein he has clearly stated that any person who is properly initiated into the Vaishnava cult certainly becomes a Brahmana, as much as the metal known as kamsa, bell metal, is turned into gold by mixture of mercury. A bona fide spiritual master, under the guidance of the authorities, can turn anyone to a Vaishnava cult, so that naturally they may come to the topmost position of a Vaishnava, of a Brahmana.
So, the Srila Prabhupada, he says this statement, thus a Vaishnava automatically becomes a Brahmana. Questions, comments, or making sense, Michael? Or no? What do you think? Asking you.
I think if an employee aims to be a CEO, and if you become a manager, and he becomes a CEO, he's automatically a manager. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's an hierarchical approach.
Nice.
Brahmana's approach is to reach Vishnu, be Vaishnavas. When we are Vaishnava, we are automatically Brahmanas.
Nice. Good example. Any questions, Michael? No. Okay. All right. Good.
Srila Rupa Goswami warns, however, that if a person is properly initiated by a bona fide spiritual master, he should not think that simply by the acceptance of such initiation, his business is then finished. One still has to follow the rules and regulations very carefully. If after accepting the spiritual master and being initiated, one does not follow the rules and regulations of devotional service, then he is again fallen. One must be very vigilant to remember that he is the part and parcel of the transcendental body of Krishna, and that is his duty as part and parcel to give service to the whole or Krishna. If we do not render service to Krishna, then again we fall down. In other words, simply becoming initiated does not elevate one to the position of a high-class Brahmana. One also has to discharge the duties and follow the regulative principles very rigidly.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Yes, Lavanya.
So then, Prabhuji, can you explain to me very clearly, what does initiation do for us? What difference does that bring into our following of rules and regulations? That the initiation that we take, if without the rules and regulations default we fall down, then with the initiation, what does that do? What is that turning point?
So, the initiation is an act of a candidate agreeing to be guided by a devotee of Krishna. And in the next chapter, when we see the rules and regulations, we see one of the rules and regulations of devotional service is to be initiated by a spiritual master. So, essentially, the initiation is a way of surrendering oneself to Krishna at lotus feet of Guru. The idea is that if one follows, even after initiation, one follows very strictly the rules and gets puffed up by that itself also is not a qualification for moving ahead. But having said that, one tries to really strictly follow, and if not, then one makes a serious attempt to follow. Because there are so many rules and regulations, At least there are 5 primary rules and regulations which we discuss in the next chapter. At least one makes a vow saying that at least I am being bound up to those particular rules and regulations, and I want to continue under the guidance of spiritual master.
Is it more, the rules and regulations are a parallel, but then there's also the order of the spiritual master, which runs parallel to that.
Right.
By taking initiation, one commits to follow the order of the spiritual master. So on top of the rules and regulations, one is also guided. So sometimes one may be told to do things that are different from what one may plan to execute.
Right.
But because we have committed to taking initiation and we have accepted
Right.
Guru as a path for Krishna,
Right.
we accept his orders as well.
Right.
So are they parallel threads?
No, not necessarily parallel, because the Guru's orders are pretty much in line with his Guru's orders, which are in line with his Guru's order, and they are manifestation of Krishna. We'll read the next chapter wherein we discuss the fact that the broad outlines are mentioned by Rupa Goswami. The details are actually not specified. It's not like very, very rigidly specified to the point that this is what it is. We discuss and how that flexibility is there between different spiritual masters, because that nicely comes into the fact that ISKCON is a multi-guru organization, and there are disciples of many gurus, and how they can understand and relate to other spiritual masters. We'll just, if you can hold that topic, then we can discuss at length. The other thing I found is that if you have a spiritual master, you are open for chastisement. Krishna is not so easily going to chastise you. And if he does chastise you, unless you are really strong, you can't take it. His level of chastisement is a little different. His special mercy is a little different. So Guru kind of dilutes it a little bit so that he can give to the point we can take. So Guru can chastise the disciple. That is, I think, a biggest point of initiation. Even if one is not perfect, but one is open to chastisement and corrections by Guru. That in of itself shows that I am putting aside my false ego to follow the orders of my Guru. Yes, Natalie. Does that a little bit answer your question? But then we'll do a little more when we come there.
I had a comment to add to that.
Sure.
That's why, for example, people take spiritual master that's already had Mahasamadhi because they don't want to be chastised. They can't be. Because
I didn't get that. I'm sorry.
There are certain schools that you take, your spiritual master has already had Mahasamadhi, and there's no successor. So in that situation, you can derail easily because there's no one in a physical body to make sure you stay on the path and follow the rules and regulations, etc. So having a succession where you have actually a guru in a physical body is extremely helpful in receiving that personal guidance.
Yeah, I mean, nowhere in the scriptures it is seen where a candidate for spiritual advancement took a guru who was not physically present. It has been seen again and again on how the only time, the only thing I realize, or only place where I read, where a disciple took initiation without spiritual master being present was Lord Brahma. when the flute song from Krishna emerged and it touched the ears, then he got initiated. Now, unless we are on the capacity or the level of Lord Brahma, let's not get in there.
No, but it's true. There are schools that have initiation from the spiritual master has had Mahasamadhi, and they did not designate a successor. I'm not saying right or wrong. This is not, but I just know from my personal experience that it's very helpful to have the succession. You know, like we have Srila Prabhupada, and you can still connect with him. But there's a difference in having a loving relationship with Srila Prabhupada and somebody saying, don't do that or do this, and kind of rein you in if the disciple is going off a little bit.
Yeah, see, the thing is, in ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada is the preeminent Siksha Guru. Everybody follows his instructions from the Siksha-wise. But Diksha, Srila Prabhupada designated many of his disciples who can act in that capacity.
Right.
And following whom we get the same mercy of Prabhupada. Because the mercy flows from spiritual master to the disciple to the next generation unchanged.
Right.
And the potency doesn't get diluted from each successive generation. So this idea that I can just jump over some generations, it's not supported in many places. But I get your point. Thank you so much for bringing that up. It's a nice point. Other questions, comments? Rajesh, you had a question? No. All right. So, next paragraph, please.
Sri Rupa Goswami also says that if one is regularly discharging devotional service, there will be no question of a fall down. But even if circumstantially there is some fall down, the Vaishnava need have nothing to do with the prashchita, the ritualistic ceremony for purification. If someone fall down from the principle of devotional service, he needs not to do the prashchita performance for reformation. He simply has to execute the rules and regulation for discharging devotional service, and this is sufficient for his reinstatement. This is the mystery of the Vaishnava, the devotional cult.
So, what is the title of this chapter?
Purity of devotions.
Purity of devotional service. So, how many angles of purity of devotional service have we discussed so far? The first angle is that there is no qualification for the person who can discharge devotional service. The second thing is, even if there is an accidental fall down, so should we set up a fire sacrifice and then drink hot ghee, or give a lot of charity, or fast for something, or just roll over the temple outside, just dandavat parikrama all over that? Should we do? What should we do? Please keep continuing what we are doing, but in a repentant mood. My understanding is that we cannot be neither callous either. Oh, I have fallen down, that's okay, I'll do again, I'll get up. Our attitude is what that counts. Because if one does it with a repentance, with a mood of repentance, saying that I'm so fallen and I have committed some abominable activity, oh Krishna, please give me strength. Please give me the inner will that I won't do that again. With that repentant mood, if we perform devotional service, then it's helpful. Otherwise, if you, devotional service is there, I did something, but it is there, accidental. Again, do it again, it's accidental. The accidental becomes regular. And then the thing is, before long, the devotional service kind of withers down or waters down. The example is Maharaj Parikshit. He offended the sage Samika, but when everybody knows the story, or should I tell the story in short? No, okay. So we know the 5 Pandavas. When they retired, they appointed their grandson Maharaj Parikshit to be the king, and he was an extremely powerful ruler, and he ruled over the whole world with perfect justice and perfect character. And one day it so happened that he was in forest hunting, and the kings in those days would hunt. And when he was hunting, he became very thirsty and he became very hungry. And he approached this hermitage of the sage Shramik Rishi. Now the sage Shramik Rishi was meditating. He was completely in a trance, genuine trance. And he did not observe when Maharaj Parikshit came. And when Maharaj Parikshit asked him for some water, he was so deep in trance he didn't hear. Maharaj Parikshit became angry. He thought, he is a Brahmana, he thinks I am a lower Kshatriya, maybe he doesn't want to deal with me. So he's acting that he is in penance, and actually he is fully conscious. So out of that momentary anger, Maharaj Parikshit takes a dead snake, which is lying around, and puts around the sage's neck, and he leaves. Now Maharaj Parikshit, when he goes back and he reflects on what he had done, he said, why did I do that? Maybe the sage was genuinely in trance. For that thing, I just lost my temper and I did this abominable act. He says, if there is some inauspicious result because of my activity, may it come soon. And I, forever destroy this tendency of offending the Brahmanas. And when he hears the news that the Shamik Rishi's son, Shringi, cursed Maharaj Parikshit to die in 7 days because of a snake bite, Maharaj Parikshit is happy. If somebody says you're going to be dead in 7 days, I don't know what will be the reactions. It will be an interesting reactions just to see. Just we can have the live cam in the doctor's office and capture the faces, expressions. You're going to die in 7 days. I don't know. I'll see. It'll be. But he was ecstatic. He said, "This is wonderful." Maharaj Parikshit was an exalted devotee of the Lord. He could have easily counteracted this boy's curse, because we just discussed this principle that a Vaishnava is much greater than a Brahmana. And Shringi was a boy and he was a Brahmana boy. So there was no, he could have easily counter-cursed, or he could have said, may the curse be not effective by Krishna's mercy. And it wouldn't have been effective. Maharaj Parikshit said, wonderful, this is great news. And then he gave up his kingdom immediately on the spot. He appointed his son Janamejaya to be the king, and he sat on the bank of Ganges fasting for 7 days and 7 nights. And then Bhagavatam was spoken, the entire Bhagavatam. So the point is that he was very repentant. His attitude was one of repentance. Not that, so we cannot take this as an excuse that, okay, there is, I keep doing whatever I need to doing. The thing is, accidental fall downs has two categories. One is an accidentally momentary fall down, which is out of one's character or out of one's nature. There is also the fall down because of bad habits. The past bad habits are so strong that it's not easy to shake them off. In that case, we try our best to give up those bad habits, but at the same time, with a repentant mood, saying that, Krishna, how sinful I am, that in spite of coming in shelter of your lotus feet, I still can't shake off those bad habits. They are still deeply rooted in the core of my heart. My Lord, I just open my heart to you. This is what I can do. I'll try my best, but please come and cleanse the heart. Otherwise, there is no hope for me. And that's how Bhaktivinoda Thakur prays. He says, my mind is a demon. It's uncontrolled. And you take care of this mind. You are the expert at killing all sorts of demons. So kill this demon of mind, which is actually bothering me so much. So there are two accidental falls down, but one has to stick to devotional service under all circumstances. Because when one gets taste of devotional service, then all the lower things that are holding us back, they'll get freed. They are holding us down, and we are trying to move upwards. It's a struggle, constant struggle, at least in the sadhana stage. But if we are unflinchingly steady at lotus feet of Krishna, no matter what our state is, not feeling despondent or hopeless, or not getting angry. God, why are you doing this? I am not getting rid of my bad habits. Or, what, that's all bogus. That level is too high. Maybe it's not, maybe there are some rules wrong with the rules. We can start, that people are doing that. If I can't follow the rules, then I say there is something wrong with the rules. These are extreme rules. They are for other time. You can make so many excuses. They are past rules, not practical in this age. Or these are all extreme. These are all like, maybe those rules are not for us. Or somebody made up those rules. The translation is something wrong there. Our mind gives so many excuses to avoid. But if we are saying to Krishna, these are the rules, I'm aspiring there, I'm hoping to reach that level of pure devotion, please give me the strength. And one attitude is what matters. Srila Prabhupada writes in the preface, in the next semester we'll read the Nectar of Instruction. In the preface, our advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. What is our attitude? Externally, things will happen. There are so many upheavals of material world that are going to come and go. What is your attitude is something you can determine, cultivate, think about, meditate, and that's what we can offer it to Krishna. And that is what pleases Krishna. Because we cannot cheat him. We cannot say, maybe, Krishna, why are you punishing me? Maybe you were not there when I did this. How do you guarantee that you were there? He says, no, I am here. I have been there since time immemorial. I have been in your heart. I have been seeing everything you do. So you cannot use any excuse for Krishna. The only thing is to open our heart to say, my Lord, this is who I am. Please help me. That pitiful cry of help, that moves Krishna like nothing else. No amount of austerities, no amount of knowledge, no amount of charities, no amount of anything of this world, philanthropy, it doesn't move Krishna as much as that pitiful cry for help. Not that he's a sadist, wanting you to see, cry. It's what moves Krishna. He can give different things to different people, but what actually moves his heart is that genuine cry of help. And when we chant our rounds, if we have that genuine cry of help, our chanting will be very effective. Questions, comments? Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, in this, the purport, the fall down is, the purport is saying because of circumstances. Is it same that it's his desire to do something else, not, he wants to do something else. That's what the circumstances referring to? Or, it's not the desire of the... how come it is a circumstance and not his desire that led him to fall down?
Okay, so I think it's best I use my personal example because... So, I was in an accident a couple of weeks ago, and one lady jumped the red light and I hit her car. That was a circumstance that kind of forced me to actually look for a new car. I had to urgently buy a car because of the simple fact that tomorrow I needed transportation to go to work, because of which I was late coming here today. I was stuck at the dealership. The circumstance was thrust upon me, but later I realized that my mind was too much thinking about the transportation rather than actually thinking of Krishna. So I could have better not thought too much about that, but it was there on my mind, and I wanted to get rid of it as soon as I can because it was seriously impeding my own, you can say my own remembrance of Krishna. Very minuscule and very momentary it may be, but still, the idea is that if I don't think of Krishna, I think of something else, then that's a fall down. So you can say, I'm a very fallen person, but I was even more fallen for the last few days, thinking of something else other than Krishna. I said, I just want to get over with it so that I can think of Krishna. I can at least come back to from more fallen state to at least little fallen state, and you can go upwards. So, financial loss, job loss, these things are thrust upon us, but what's our attitude? Are we going to blame Krishna? Are we going to blame our own misfortune? Are we saying, this chanting Hare Krishna in books, what is all this? Take it out, throw it. What is our attitude? If our attitude is that, this is all useless, then it tantamounts to our own fall down. Fall down, because one of the questions it asks is, what is a fall down? Or how is the soul is lost in the world? So if we see, let's go to 2nd chapter, 60th verse, I believe. Not 60th. 62. I apologize. 262. That's on page 136. Hare Krishna, is anybody online? I profoundly apologize if somebody is online. You can say Hari Bol. unmute. Please unmute your phone and say Haribol. Star 6. Shamalangi Mataji, our audio and video director. She says, it's good you said. Star 6 to unmute. All right. So, text 62. Yeah. So, kindly repeat after me. Dhyayato vishayan pumsa sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho vijayate. While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them, and for such attachment lust develops, and from lust anger arises. Text 63. Krodhat bhavati sammoha sammohat smriti vibhramaha smritir bhramshad buddhinasho buddhinashat pranashyati. From anger, complete delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. So this is what is the destruction of soul happens. When we say the soul is lost or destroyed, which means that pure soul, he's got deeply entrenched in the material world, forgets Krishna, forgets his own sense of identity. Thinks that I am the master, I am the controller, I am the enjoyer. That attitude of soul, that perverted nature of soul is what is called fall down, technical fall down. Yes.
I will deviate you.
Please.
You opened up a tributary.
Let's do it. Let's do it. That's the whole idea we are here.
I remember this verse every time I get angry with my children. Because I get angry with my children very many times. And I remember that, this anger is buddhi vrashta. Next I'm going to lose. I'm shouting there and I've lost my, capacity to think. And you go back and it comes to control, as you keep repeating, our desire to control. And then I stand there and sometimes I think, I should let go. No control. And then I'm thinking, and suddenly Yashoda Maya comes to my mind and said, she was still controlling Krishna.
Right.
Even though it was a transcendental control. And the whole thing was a leela.
Right.
What is control?
Right. Okay, that's the question you're asking? Nice.
What is control?
Excellent question.
Is not control part of my duty? In which point, then this whole flow of, lust arising and the inability to obtain triggering anger and loss of control. So, how is this different from that control?
Excellent. So, let's go back to Mother Yashoda's control of Krishna. That aspect of Krishna's control is that Krishna wants to be controlled by his devotees. Krishna wants to taste the sweetness of maternal love which Mother Yashoda gives. He is the absolute truth, and yet he gives this mentality to Mother Yashoda that if I don't feed my child, he will die. That same supreme absolute truth who's been maintaining people since time immemorial. I just get up in the morning, sometimes I'm totally amazed. So many billions of people are living on this earth. They are eating, they are evacuating, they are maintaining themselves. Just billions of people. What about rats, ants? How is this going on? This is like amazing, isn't it? I mean, if there was no question of everything happened by chance, okay, by chance 100 people died of starvation today. By chance 100 people's digestion failed today. By chance 100 people went blind today. It's chance. There is no control. Everything happens by chance. By chance 20 people lost their teeth today. They fell off. Randomly they got up in the morning, they found there were no teeth. Possible, yeah, just right. What is it that's all holding the body together if everything is happening by chance? One day morning I get up, I see my arm just lying there. I get up, no arm. Chance? The whole thing is body. But Krishna is there in the body, he is maintaining this body. When we read Bhagavatam, we see how there is a whole cosmos, whole directory agency, that is demigods who are controlling every part of your body, you are controlling, the Lord is controlling, there is a whole structure in place for control. That supreme absolute truth, the point I'm trying to make, the supreme absolute truth who controls everything, who maintains everything, wants to be controlled by Mother Yashoda. It's the prema. He's bound up by the prema or the love of Mother Yashoda. And that's why Yogamaya gives him this mentality to Mother Yashoda, that if I don't feed my child, he'll die. Krishna is a liar. He always tells lies. He is not a straight person. And this is supreme absolute truth whom you just think of. Forget even seeing him. Just thinking of him will completely purify you. He's a liar. He's a crooked person. That's what Mother Yashoda says. And he steals butter. He's a thief. That is how Yogamaya plays on mind of Mother Yashoda to think of Krishna, and Krishna enjoys that rasa. In fact, that is the highest state of bliss. So when Mother Yashoda controls Krishna, it is because Krishna wants to be controlled. In fact, this is the Damodar month. We see how she tries to bind Krishna. But Krishna, he says, okay, let me play some fun. We see that. We know the story about how Mother Yashoda was feeding Krishna. At the same time, the milk was boiling. The question one might ask is, why did Mother Yashoda not let the milk boil over? Why did she have to put Krishna down and go and get to the stove? Was that stove more important or Krishna more important? Obviously it is Krishna, then why did she do it? It's a logic question. The reason was this. Nanda Maharaj had hundreds of thousands of cows. In fact, he had 900,000 cows. How they fit into this 64 small area of Vrindavan, again it's transcendental, let's not get there, but he fit. And that was just Nanda Maharaj's count. There were other cows, unlimited of cows. Amongst those, there were few cows whose milk was extraordinarily nice. So fragrant that you couldn't resist that. Mother Yashoda was thinking, my Nandalala, why is he going to other gopis' house and stealing butter? Why doesn't he like the butter in my house, in his own house? So she was making special milk for him so that she could churn butter out of that milk. And that milk was on the stove. So when she put down Krishna, it was for Krishna only. But because of that parental affection, right? If the child says, if you are playing with the child, and if you know that the child is going to be hungry and you have to feed, you will put the child aside. Because that is another form of love for the child to take care of the child. And that mother can easily identify with that sentiment more than father. Yes or yes? So you say, you wait, you go and play, I don't have time to play with you, I just need to make something for you. It's the same love, but expressed in a different capacity. So Mother Yashoda put baby Krishna down. And she went, got the milk. Then Krishna got angry. As we know, he broke the pot. And then he fed the monkey, he fed the butter to the monkeys, he ate. And then there were steps all over the place. Mother Yashoda was, walking with a stick, trying to see where is Krishna. And as soon as she saw Krishna, Krishna saw her coming like this. And she ran. And Mother Yashoda ran. And it was a scene described that as she was running, she was breathing hard. The flowers were dropping from her hair, creating a cascade, a shower of flowers all over the backyard of Nanda Maharaj's palace. Her jewels were like going every which way. Her clothes were scattered. Her hair was scattered. She was chasing Krishna. And Krishna was, after some time, then Krishna said, okay, Mother Yashoda is tired enough. Let me allow her to capture in the first place. So Mother Yashoda captures Krishna and she binds him to the mortar. And she tries to bind him to the mortar. We know the story that she gets all the rope, has 2 fingers too short. But please understand that Krishna didn't become fat like anything. He was still the same small boy. His rope was his waist was the same. It didn't expand like universe. And Mother Yashoda had to do circumambulation like Govardhan Hill to tie him. It was still the same boy around the knot. So she was trying it with 2 fingers too short. The point is that Krishna, later when he appreciated the efforts of Mother Yashoda, he said, all right, Mother Yashoda, you can bind me. can bind me. Please understand that after binding, what happened? After Mother Yashoda bound Krishna to the rope, what happened? Krishna crawled? No, Krishna crawled. Yeah, okay. What happened then? He broke the trees. Then what happened? Then what happened? They came out. They go. What did they do? They offered prayers to Krishna. Now, if somebody helped you, and you know a person who helps you, and then somehow or other he's somehow stuck in his car, and what would you try to do? Break the glass or help him out, right? Why didn't Manigriva and Nalakuvera help Krishna unbind the ropes? The minimum thing they could do, right? Krishna, he fell down the thing, he destroyed their curse, they got their bodies, they were all effulgent, brilliant, and they saw Krishna tied, okay, bye, and stay there. You did great favor upon us, but I'm leaving you, stay tight. So, the Rupa Goswami answers that question in Lalita Madhava. He said, why didn't they untie Krishna when Krishna, it is said the rope or the love of Mother Yashoda was so strong, which she bound in the form of rope, nobody can undo it. That power which Mother Yashoda exerted on Krishna by tying the rope, nobody can undo it. Only she can undo it. That is the power of the pure devotees they exert on Krishna. Nobody, even if Nalikuvara, Manigriva, they tried, for eternity they couldn't have opened that. They realized, they said, thank you. If we enjoy your Leela, we'll go on our way. We don't want to stay. We don't even dare touch the rope which Mother Yashoda bound you, and you are bound up by her. So that is the pastime of love, Damodar month. So I digressed a little bit. But that control is different from when we try to control our child. But we should control our child. You cannot, that's a duty. But it depends, Lavanya Mataji, most of the time, what is the motivation for your control of the child? Is it for the good of your child? Or is it because your own false ego is disturbed? She is my child, she dares to oppose me. Is a different thing than the child, if she doesn't do that, if I say that, her life will be spoiled. Or there could be consequences downstream, which I will be responsible. Krishna will say, you are the mother, you have to take care of her. You didn't do it. So there is that balance. What is our own attitude? What is our own motivation? Internal motivation to do. When the biggest dismotivation, if the word is there, is that when when parents see the child as their ornament for their own self-aggrandizement. Oh, my child, the source of their satisfaction amongst the society comes from the achievement of their child. That's a big problem. Ego. I couldn't do this. I have to somehow force my child and show it to the world. Look. Again, I don't want to get into the debate. But does that little bit answer your question? Okay. But you should. You have to control. There's some others. You can't let them run around like that. No. Yes, Rajeshji.
Sometimes we are, trying to control the kids because we are so lazy. We just don't want any disturbance. We think that things should happen the way we think is right. And we have no time and no desire to even listen to them. Zero time. And then we think we are doing a great job. Because I think, as you said, that one is a show off, but another is laziness on our part, where we are so reluctant to even listen and give a moment where you wanted to know, because what I'm doing is the right, what you are asking is absolutely wrong, and I don't have any time for your activity. Listen to what I am saying, that is the only right part. I think that is another part which I think derails all this relationship.
I agree. Nice point. So we may not do a whole lot. We'll try to continue as much. We'll stretch over till 4:30 today, and we'll try to complete as much as we can. But leftover we can read and then we can continue with the next set of chapters. Is that okay? Unless that the chapter which we left off today is important, then we'll take it up. Every chapter is important, but some specific topics which need more discussion, then we can do it. Is that okay? Yeah, again, I apologize today for the delay. I'll make sure it won't happen. Okay, next chapter, next paragraph, please, sorry.
Practically, there are three processes for elevating one to the platform of spiritual consciousness. These processes are called karma, jnana, and bhakti. Ritualistic performances are in the field of karma. Speculative processes are in the field of jnana. One who has taken to bhakti, the devotional service of the Lord, need have nothing to do with karma or jnana. It has been already explained that pure devotional service is without any tinge of karma or jnana. Bhakti should have no tinge of philosophical speculation or ritualistic performances.
Beautiful. Next paragraph, please.
In this connection, Srila Rupa Goswami gives evidence from Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 21st chapter, verse 2, in which Lord Krishna says to Uddhava, the distinction between qualification and disqualification may be made in this way. Persons who are already elevated in discharging devotional service will never again take shelter of the processes of fruitive activity or philosophical speculation. If one sticks to devotional service and is conducted by regulative principles given by the authorities and acharyas, that is the best qualification.
Next paragraph, please.
This statement is supported in Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 5th chapter, verse 17, wherein Sri Narad Muni advises Vyasadeva thus: even if one does not execute his specific occupational duty, but immediately takes direct shelter of the lotus feet of Hari, Krishna, there will be no fault on his part, and in all circumstances his position is secure. Even if by some bad association he falls down while executing devotional service, or if he doesn't finish the complete course of devotional service and dies untimely, still he is not at a loss. A person is simply discharging his occupational duty in Varna and Ashram, however, with no Krishna consciousness, practically does not gain the true benefit of human life. The purport is that all conditioned souls who are engaged very frantically in activities for sense gratification, without knowing that this process will never help them get out of material contamination, are awarded only with repeated births and deaths.
Nice, thank you. Next paragraph. Anybody can stop anytime if they have questions, otherwise we'll do some reading. Yes, Chaitanya, Ananda Prabhu.
Prabhu, this is the paragraph which was starting with practically there are three processes.
Right.
So, in there it says bhakti should not have a tinge of philosophical speculation or ritualistic performances.
Right.
So, I thought that only mental speculation was bad, but I didn't know that philosophical speculation was also should not be present.
So, I don't remember, I'll try to look up, but philosophical speculation, it depends on what is the definition of philosophical speculation. If the philosophical speculation brings one to the conclusion that God is ultimately impersonal, formless, that sort of philosophical speculation is avoided. But having said that, because Bhagavatam is just question and answers, right? It's completely question and answers. So in that questions, there may be sometimes like questions which say, for example, how this happened here, but this happened there. There seem to be a discrepancy. So it's a kind of, you can say, philosophical, not speculation, but inquiry. Like, why did this happen like that, but not like this? So having questions of a philosophical orientation or questions based on the existing knowledge is not exactly philosophical speculation. For example, Maharaj Parikshit, he asked Sukdev Goswami in the 5th canto, he said, you said this is this like this, but then this goes like that, this planet, because we were talking about planetary systems. Why happens this happens? Because then he Sukadeva Goswami, he kind of said that. So when we get the knowledge and then we try to digest and try to understand, and there may be questions based on that, then we can ask further to get more clarification. So philosophical speculation in that sense is allowed. But philosophical speculation just on our own, using our own brain with no faith or authority, then that leads to impersonal conclusion, that God is ultimately formless.
Because if suppose you are reading some part of Srimad Bhagavatam and you would want to know how creation happened, so there are many statements attested. So you try to find the link between different points to be able to present it in a better way to the modern day society,
right,
so that it is put in their framework of understanding.
Right.
So when you do these kind of things, it's basically a logical exercise to some extent.
Correct.
But if the motivation is correct, that I am doing this so that I can better present Srimad Bhagavatam in a way people can understand. So then it is not falling under the flavor of philosophical speculation completely, right?
No.
So it is because the intention is right.
Correct.
Okay.
The other thing is, one also should reflect on the enormity of the task that one is undertaking. The enormity is that, because how the world is created itself is a huge subject matter, and there is it seems fantastic actually. There is some space and Brahma is occupying some hole. There is a lotus coming from the navel of Vishnu. How big would be the lotus? We don't know. The stem of the lotus has all these planetary systems. So the thing is, the enormity of the understanding and the presenting of that itself is an arduous task and may not fall into the thinking of many people unless they are willing to little bit be open and skeptical and be unbiased about creation. If they are rigidly sticking to their scientific understanding of stuff and that's what will see the world, or whatever you say, we will see it through this scope, that's it. This is our scope and I'm going to see it through that. Then it may be tough because there needs to be faith, there needs to be much more than this level of prism to understand the creation. So, while your intention may be good, what is the audience perspective on accepting what you're trying to say?
But this was not directly under philosophical speculation.
Nope. Okay. As long as you are being very true to what Bhagavatam says, no. As long as you are not trying to change anything or trying to you present as it is, this is what is it. And there are many parts which not many people can understand actually. Creation is very difficult to understand. Not easy. But thank you, yeah. You had another question, Chaitanya?
Just one comment from Bhagavad Gita purport. So this is about the accidental fall down of a devotee.
Right.
Prabhupada writes, therefore a person who is situated in Krishna consciousness and is engaged with determination in the process of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, should be considered to be in the transcendental position even if by chance or accident he is found to have fallen. The words sadhureva, he is saintly, are very emphatic. They are a warning to the non-devotees that because of an accidental fall down, a devotee should not be derided. He should still be considered saintly even if he has accidentally fallen down. So it says that this is a warning to the non-devotees. So that is what this message is intended for. And he also says in one other place that in the Srimad Bhagavatam it is stated that if a person falls down but he is wholeheartedly engaged in the transcendental service of the Supreme Lord, the Lord being situated within his heart purifies him and excuses him from that abomination. And here he talks about the attitude of a devotee to take that fall down, where wholeheartedly engaged in the transcendental service of the Supreme Lord.
Nice.
Just this.
Wonderful. Excellent point. Thank you. Should we go ahead?
Yeah.
Thank you, Chaitanya Prabhu.
In the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is clearly stated by Rishabhadev to his sons, persons engaged in fruitive activities and are repeatedly accepting birth and death, and until they develop a loving feeling for Vasudeva, there will be no question of getting out from these stringent laws of material nature. As such, any person who is very seriously engaged in his occupational duties in the Varnas and Ashramas, and who does not develop love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, should be understood to be simply spoiling his human form of life.
Nice. Michael, please do us the honors.
This is confirmed in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th chapter, verse 32, in which the Lord says to Uddhava, "My dear Uddhava, any person who takes shelter in me in complete surrender and follows my instructions, giving up all occupational duties, is to be considered a first-class man." In this statement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is understood that people who are generally attracted to philanthropic, ethical, moral, altruistic, political, and social welfare activities may be considered nice men only in the calculation of the material world. From the Srimad Bhagavatam and other authentic Vedic scriptures, we learn further that if a person simply acts in Krishna consciousness and discharges devotional service, he is considered to be far, far better situated than all these persons engaged in philanthropic, ethical, moral, altruistic, and social welfare activities.
Nice. Thank you. I'll just read one more paragraph. In the meanwhile, the mic can be transferred again, I guess. The same thing is still more emphatically confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 5th chapter, verse 41, in which Garbhajana Muni addresses Maharaj Nimi as follows. "My dear king, if someone gives up his occupational duties as they are prescribed for the different varnas and ashrams, but takes complete shelter and surrendering himself unto the lotus feet of the Lord, such a person is no more a debtor, nor has he any obligation to perform the different kinds of activities we render to the great sages, ancestors, living entities, family members, and society members. Nor has he any need to bother executing the 5 kinds of yajnas, sacrifices, for simply becoming free from sinful contamination. Simply by discharging devotional service, he is freed from all kinds of obligations. The purport is that as soon as a man takes birth, he is immediately indebted to so many sources. He is indebted to the great sages because he profits by reading their authoritative scriptures and books. For example, we take advantage of books written by Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva has left for us all the Vedas. Before Vyasadev's writing, the Vedic literature was simply heard, and the disciples would learn the mantras quickly by hearing and not by reading. Later on, Vyasadeva thought it was wise to write down the Vedas because in this age people are memoried and unable to remember all instructions given by the spiritual master. Therefore, he left all the Vedic knowledge in the form of books such as Puranas, Vedanta, Mahabharata, and Srimad Bhagavatam. Aditi, Sadhana, good.
There are many other sages like Sankaracharya, Gautama Muni, and Naranda Muni, to whom we are indebted because we take advantage of their knowledge. Similarly, we are obliged to our forefathers because we take our birth in a particular family, where we take all advantages and inherit property. Therefore, we are indebted to the forefathers and have to offer them pinda, prashadada, after they are dead. Similarly to the people in general, we are also indebted as well as to our relatives, friends, and even animals such as cows and dogs who render us much service.
Nice. Next paragraph, please. Any questions before we go ahead? Oh, Mataji in the back. No, she already has a mic. You can give it to Aditi.
In this way, we are indebted to the demigods, to the forefathers, to the sages, to the animals, and to the society in general, in our duty to repay them all by proper discharge of service. But by the one stroke of devotional service, if someone gives up all the obligations and simply surrenders onto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is no longer a debtor, nor obliged to any other source of benefit.
Go ahead, next, read one more paragraph.
In Bhagavad Gita also, the Lord says, Give up all your occupations and just become surrendered unto me. I give you assurance that I shall give you protection from all sinful reactions. One may think that because he is surrendering onto Krishna's Supreme Personality of Godhead, he will not be able to perform all of his other obligations. But the Lord says repeatedly, don't hesitate. Don't consider that because you are giving up all other engagements, there will be some flaw in your life. Don't think like that. I will give you all protection. That is the assurance of Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita.
Nice. Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, Rajesh, you had a question.
So, Prabhuji, what I was thinking, in the pretext of thinking that if I surrender and I do the devotional service, I don't need to take care about my, obligations to my family or to my parents or society. To reach to a level of a devotional service where I think here it is referred, it is which we all hope or try for. It is not as of today. At least with me, it is not at all there. So we shouldn't be using this as a pretext for not, taking care about our obligations to our family or to the parents to whom we are indebted and to whom, we are, I think we got everything from them. So, I'm just trying to put this point because sometime, because I am in Krishna consciousness, so, my parents, he is in India, he doesn't need to, be taken care of because Krishna will take care. I mean, that faith is not there. I'm just wanted to add that point, Prabhuji.
Nice, thank you. Thank you. Yes.
One question.
Yes.
And then this may be a lame one, but
to add, there is absolutely, in this class, there is no lame question, there is no stupid question, there is no basic question. We are all students here, so every question is allowed.
So my thinking was, Gita and all of these our scriptures are not trying to tell us, are actively trying to tell us do your duty. Right? Like, that's what the message was. But some of these lines here, especially, seem like they point towards giving up occupational duties. So I see a little bit of conflict between giving up and sort of doing duty. I thought the message was do duty, but just the mindset needs to change. Not give up duties. But some of these last few verses seem to point towards.
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it nicely rolls into what Rajeshi also was asking. So in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that one has to perform his duties. And one helplessly performs one's duties. In this world, everybody helplessly acts. In what way you want to act depends on your knowledge, but you act. There is no cessation from acting. Now, when one is under the spell of modes of material nature and when you act, then one realizes that one has not transcended the modes of material nature and is situated in a state of surrender to Krishna. The lines there, they can be nicely reconciled from the fact that if one is completely surrendered to Krishna, then one does not have obligations. But if you have not reached that stage, then the obligations are still in place. Artificially, one cannot think I am surrendered to Krishna and I can escape my duty. But if you have surrendered to Krishna, then there is no question of doing your duties. Because Krishna says, if you surrender unto me, I'll protect you from sin. The reason why we feel is, it is sin not to take care of my old parents, yes? Or it's a sin to neglect my children. It's a sin to walk away from my marriage. Yes? But if that sin is performed because of surrender to Krishna, Krishna says, I'll take care of that sin. You see the dual nature of stuff? But till we have reached that state, we cannot forego our obligations.
That stage, is there a manifest stage?
Nice point. That's the next question to roll into. Yes. Yes, then I am certified surrender to Krishna.
Like a certified Bhakti Sastri.
Exactly. Yes, please
No,
go ahead.
I was going to say that that point at which we are at a level where our service doesn't force us. It default makes us do what we wouldn't normally do.
Right.
We'd stop to take care of our older people, But then most of the Swamijis, all our sannyasis, they have moved on not because they didn't love their parents or they didn't know their duty, but because they were driven to move on. Because they had a deeper desire to serve the Lord that overwhelmed them beyond their current occupational duties. And Krishna talks about that, about their level of surrender, at which they allow Krishna to drive them to do whatever they do.
Nice. Having said that, even in ISKCON sannyasis, if you see, there is a story by Keshav Bharati Maharaj who took care of his mother when she was kind of passing away, and that he did it out of complete love. And even on her deathbed, he got her initiated by Shriram Maharaj. And he did her a great favor and helped her. So if one is a devotee, then one automatically helps your parents. Initially it may seem one is callous, but in the right approach. There are so many examples. I have seen personal examples too, of how, the children, when they become devotees, the parents start maybe chanting 1 round a day. Somehow they come into contact with devotees and they meet exalted devotees like Vaisheshika Prabhu or some other exalted devotees. And, the next thing they are going to Mayapur and they start chanting 1 round every day. And that's the child being the devotee has helped the parent to at least invoke or start his or her own journey back home, back to Godhead. So in that sense, they are helping. So being a devotee is not mutually exclusive. If I become a devotee, I'll neglect my parents. That thinking itself is kind of wrong. But in the course of one's surrender to Krishna, one is neglecting one's parent, then Krishna says, I'll take care of that. But provided your own level of surrender is pretty high. If it is not, then please, you should not think. And regarding your question, when it is manifested, when you won't feel the guilt, when you are in a communion with the Lord, and when you know that you are being completely fully sheltered by Krishna, you are not worried so much. Prahlad Maharaj, he was even at the risk of angering his father, and exactly, that's my point. I want to bring that up. He's a Mahajan. Wasn't he kind of disobeying his father? A. B is, he could have been a little diplomatic. When his father asked, who is the greatest? He said, you are the greatest, my father, and then go chant Hare Krishna on the side. Why did he do that? So the answer to that question is that Prahlad Maharaj was a boy of 5-year-old, and he was simple and honest from the heart. More than that, that simplicity was combined with an very deep and unabiding faith in Lord Vishnu, that he will protect me. Combined with the other fact that no devotee can tolerate the blasphemy of the Lord. It is there in the next set of regulations. One of the things is, we are asked to be tolerant, we have to be, patient, we have to persevere. But if somebody is blaspheming the Lord or his devotee, you don't be tolerant. You don't persevere. You immediately, go back. So when his own father was blaspheming his dearmost Lord, Maharaj Prahlad, he told him straightforward, this is the thing. He challenged him, he tried to, and you can see, Hiranyakashipu, he performed such severe austerities to get deathlessness, and he was envying Prahlad that how I was unable to kill him. He got a better chance. See, the thing is, he had all these boons, yet he was always afraid. Where is Lord Vishnu? I must kill Lord Vishnu, then I'll be safe. So that safety was not 100% guaranteed, even though he had all these guarantees. But Prahlad Maharaj had no boons from Brahma or Shiva. He didn't have anything. He was remembering Vishnu. And then, his father was getting really mad. I can't kill this boy. I try to get the boons. Now, what is this happening? The point is, the interesting conclusion to that story is, when Narsingadev comes and asks Prahlad Maharaj, what do you want? He said, please excuse my father. He committed so many offenses against you. Isn't that the best sort of help a child can give to the parents? Because if the child is just purely thinking on the material platform, he'll say, oh, my parents are in India. But also if he thinks of material and spiritual benefit, that's the best sort of benefit you can give. But unless you are a devotee, you won't think like that. Does that a little bit answer your question? So, yes, the devotee doesn't mean that you neglect stuff. Because we are not at that level yet. And you are at that level, it's understandable. The other example is the wife of the Brahmanas. You know the story, right? How Krishna went to the forest and he approached, his friends approached the Brahmanas asking them for food, but they didn't give him food. But the wife of the Brahmanas, they gave him food. When they learned that Krishna was right there in the forest, they immediately ran to see Krishna. And then, Krishna said, okay, now you have seen me, bye, go back home. And they said, no, if you go back home, our husbands will never accept us. Because, we just neglected their orders, disobeyed them, and we came back here to see you. And, we can't go back now. We just have surrendered onto you. He said, no, don't go back, don't worry, your husbands won't say anything. And they didn't say anything. They in fact praised their wives. To hell with our learning, to hell with our ritualistic sacrifices. What is the use? We couldn't even see the Lord. Our wives are much better. Even though they are quote-unquote women, they saw the Lord. They had that faith in Krishna. So, being a devotee of Krishna actually harmonizes everything. Probably in the next class, we'll discuss on that a little bit. But it's essentially a harmony. And there may be little, rough bumps on the road. But, yes, Chaitanya Prabhu.
Just a thought, Prabhu. So, before coming to Krishna consciousness, one may be doing all the duties from a materialistic perspective. But after coming to Krishna consciousness and hearing the instructions of Krishna, we still maybe externally doing the same duties. But the perspective is completely changed. Even we are seeing the parents, but they are sent by Krishna. And so in that sense we can see the connection back. And we can see Krishna in everyone. And in that way the consciousness is pure, though activities may be apparently the same.
Right. Nice. Thank you. Wonderful point. Thank you for bringing that up. So should we wrap up this particular chapter? Any other questions before we go? Does that little bit answer your concerns, questions? You're right? Okay. Yeah, so please, don't say to your parents, I'm a devotee of Krishna, I don't need to take care of you. They will be really mad. And it's not going to help the cause either. They'll say, who is this Krishna who stole away my child? We are in... Anyway, let's not get there. Who's supposed to read? Aditi? Who didn't read yet? Okay, we can start again from the back. Yeah, good.
There is additional evidence in the Agastya Samhita. As the regulative principles of scripture are not required by a liberated person, so the ritualistic principles indicated in the Vedic supplements are also not required for a person duly engaged in the service of Lord Ramachandra. In other words, the devotees of Lord Ramachandra or Krishna are already liberated persons and are not required to follow all the regulative principles mentioned in the ritualistic portions of the Vedic literature. Similarly, in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th chapter, verse 42, Kara Bhajana Muni addresses King Nimi and says, My dear king, a person who has given up the worship of the demigods and has completely concentrated his energy in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead has become very, very dear to the Lord. As such, if by chance or mistake he does something which is forbidden, there is no need for him to perform any purificatory ceremonies, because the Lord is situated within his heart. He takes compassion for the devotee's accidental mistake and corrects him from within. It is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita in many places that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, takes a special interest in his devotees and declares emphatically that nothing can cause his devotees to fall down. He is always protecting them.
This is the power of bhakti, because Krishna's hand is there in protection. In other forms of yoga, there is a lot of your work involved, and there is no guarantee, because one hasn't completely taken shelter of lotus feet of Krishna, then one's success may not be 100% guaranteed. Any questions, comments? I think it's time for Sunday feast, or we have 5 more minutes, right? Yeah? Thank you so much for coming. We are almost done with our class, and then we'll start the Sunday feast lecture. Is that okay? All right. So any questions on this chapter? The purity of devotional service? All right. Okay, let's read to the 6th chapter. We'll try to complete as much as we can, and then I'll read the first 2-3 paragraphs at least. Chapter 6, How to Discharge Devotional Service. Srila Rupa Goswami states that his elder brother Sanatan Goswami has compiled Hari Bhakti Vilas for the guidance of the Vaishnavas, and therein has mentioned many rules and regulations to be followed by the Vaishnavas. Some of them are very important and prominent, and Srila Rupa Goswami now will mention these very important items for our benefit. The purport of this statement is that Srila Rupa Goswami proposes to mention only basic principles, not details. For example, a basic principle is that one has to accept a spiritual master. Exactly how one follows the instructions of his spiritual master is considered a detail. For example, if one is following the instruction of a spiritual master and that instruction is different from the instructions of another spiritual master, this is called detailed information. But the basic principle of acceptance of spiritual master is good everywhere, although the details may be different. Srila Rupa Goswami does not wish to enter into details here, but he wants to place before us only the basic principles. So I don't know where is Lavanya Mataji, but this is what I was trying to talk about, how, accepting a guru is the basic principle, but exact instructions by a guru. For example, some gurus are mainly into book distribution. Some gurus are into deity worship. Some gurus are, for example, congregational preaching programs. Some gurus are into writing and publishing. So in whatever way they are, those may be different, but the basic principle is that everybody of that gurus are following the instructions of their own guru. So does that make sense? Okay. Next, continuing, he mentions the basic principles as follows. First, accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master. 2, becoming initiated by the spiritual master and learning how to discharge devotional service from him. 3, obeying the orders of the spiritual master with faith and devotion. 4, following in the footsteps of the great acharyas, teachers under the direction of the spiritual master. 5, inquiring from the spiritual master how to advance in Krishna consciousness. 6, being prepared to give up anything material for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. This means that when we are engaged in devotional service of the Lord, we must be prepared to give up something which we may not like to give up, and also we have to accept something which we may not like to accept. 7, residing in the sacred place of pilgrimage like Dwarka or Vrindavan. 8, accepting only what is necessary or dealing with the material world only as far as necessary. 9th, observing the fasting on Ekadashi. And 10, worshipping the sacred trees like banyan tree. These 10 items are the preliminary necessities for beginning the discharge of devotional service and regulative principles. In the beginning, if a neophyte devotee observes the above-mentioned 10 principles, surely he will make good advancement in Krishna consciousness. The next set of instructions is listed as follows. One should rigidly give up the companies of non-devotees. One should not instruct a person who is not desirous of accepting devotional service. One should not be very enthusiastic about constructing costly temples or monasteries. One should not try to read too many books, nor should one develop the idea of earning his livelihood by lecturing or professionally reciting Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. One should not be neglectful in ordinary dealings. One should not be under the spell of lamentation in loss or jubilation in gain. One should not disrespect the demigods. One should not give unnecessary trouble to any living entity. One should carefully avoid the various offenses in chanting the holy name of the Lord or in the worshipping the deity in the temple. One should be very intolerant towards the blasphemy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, or his devotees. So we'll stop here today. Any questions? Because these are all the preliminary. Anybody can turn on the light? Sure. Thank you, Chaitanya.
I just had a question to clarify in the second paragraph.
Sure.
Between the difference between number 1 and number 2.
Sure.
So if you're an aspiring disciple,
right,
is that number 1? And then
yes.
number 2 is the actual
yes.
ceremony?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? So we can see also one should give up rigidly the company. We'll discuss probably next class some of the items, like one should give up rigidly the company of non-devotees. What does it exactly mean by that? How should we deal? Or one should be very intolerant when Krishna or his devotees are blasphemed. What do you exactly do in that circumstances? Those are kind of things we can discuss next class. Because we did not have class last week, we postponed it to this week. Consequently, we will have a class next week also. And sorry that you may have to travel, but if you choose to stay home and watch it online, it's your call. But I'm grateful that you're here. Aditi and Gunjan drove all the way from Sacramento to be here for the class. So thank you. And thank you to all of you for attending the class. Any questions, any comments? Okay, we'll take about just, is it okay, just 3-minute break and then we'll start the class? All right. Thank you very much.